Hello, everyone. Good evening, and thanks for joining us today. My name is Peter James, and you're welcome to the Potential Scholars Forum. We'll be focusing on the Commonwealth Share Scholarship today. Allow me to share my screen, then we can start. So, as you can see on the screen, we have an amazing personality here. He's a current scholar at the University of Warwick. His name is Peter Ugoyi Salifo. He's studying at University of Warwick, Coventry, United Kingdom, and he's studying applied theatre, action, and change. And he will be taking us on to this section. And basically, to this section, we'll be looking at the overview of the Commonwealth Share Scholarship, the eligibility criteria, the document needed for this application, and the heart of it, which is the essay, right? Which is the essay. And then will be an opportunity to be given to everyone to ask his or her any pressing questions. So just note it down at the towards the end of the sessions. An opportunity will be given to you to ask your questions, and then finally we'll have a word of advice from him. All right. So without further ado, let me just hand over the mic to him, and he will do justice to everything. Ours is just to sit back and note down the questions. If you have any questions, let's allow him to take the floor. Sir, you're welcome, and thank you for agreeing to do this with us, sir. Over to you, sir. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Peter. You see, when you said you were going to hand over the microphone, I'm just wishing to collect a microphone from you right now and begin to talk like a preacher.
Thank you.
Okay, so good day, everyone, and welcome to this session. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. It's my pleasure to be here to share with you tips based on my experience about the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. So just a bit of disclaimer that I do not work for the CSC. Everything I'll share with you is based on my experience and knowledge since I've been through the process. And again, largely from what I have learned from the Commission's website, the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship website, which I believe very detailed information out there. All right. We've seen the outline of our discussion, and as you have questions, you should note them down, or you can drop them in the chat. Peter, you could help us note anyone that's in the chat so we can also address them. And then we anticipate that in 40 minutes or less already, since this is the basic Zoom plan, the session might go off. So if it does go off, you are encouraged to join again with the same link. Am I correct, Peter?
Yeah, you're correct, sir.
So you join again with the same link, and we'll pick up from where we stop. Then, Peter, I'll just need you to help me monitor the time and also give me notice when it's just like 2 or 1 minute to that, so we can give a logical conclusion to the session we'll be having. Then we can continue from there, so we're on the same page.
All right, thank you.
So I'll just share a bit of my screen with everyone, and just help me confirm if you can see my screen now, right?
Yeah, it's coming up. Perfect. We can see your screen, sir.
All right. So just as a sort of guide, we'll be using this. This is the website for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. And I want to start by saying that all of the resources, all of the direction you need, all of the information you need is available on this website. All you need to do is to take time to research, and always research so that you're on the right path. The scholarship is, some persons like to describe it as a full-time job, but not necessarily in that difficult sense of the word, but to understand that we need to take our time to do serious research so that our applications are in line with what the scheme expects of us. Sorry about that. So the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship is one of the many scholarships run by the Commonwealth Commission, which you already know. I want to apologize to those who already have all of this information. We're running it for the sake of those who are also new to the scheme and to refresh our own minds on what we need to do. All right. and then the website is there. We'll drop it in that our chat for everybody to follow up. So it's one of three master's program offered by the CSA Commission, and in summary, provides the opportunity to study a course in the UK for the period of 1 year that is targeted at a development concern in your country. All right, and then so the intended beneficiaries are high quality postgraduate students from least developed nations. All of this is available on the website. I just wanted to emphasize that the duration is 1 year. That you are considering your choice of universities, you are looking at universities that the course you are selecting will last for a period of 12 months, which is 1 year. And thankfully, just as before this session, the eligible courses for 2025, I believe, are already on the website. So everybody can look up that and begin to select which course they want to apply to. Unlike other scholarships like Achieving, where you can apply to any UK university, for the Commonwealth Share Scholarship, you would have to look up the eligible courses and eligible universities and apply to the courses that align with your goals there. We'll get to that just very shortly. So how to apply? You would see that it is still closed 2024, 2025. So the circle that is coming up will be 2025, 2026, and expectedly should open very soon. And it's okay that we're having this session now to help you prepare ahead. So it's also important to note that the application happens on the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship Application System, the online application portal, which differentiates it from the other Commonwealth scholarship where you get to apply through a nominating agency. So for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, your application is done directly online to the Commonwealth Commission. The other part of the application you have to do is that you should know you would also be applying to the universities you've selected. You'll be applying to them separately, but your scholarship application will be done via the online application system. And as you can rightly see, attention to deadlines is key. You would not want to miss the deadline. Then right about here, you will see the courses that have been approved to participate and how they are aligned under 6 development themes, which some of us should be familiar with. If you are not, you want to do your research around the 6 development. Of course, it's on this website. When we click on this, it should just take us right there. So we have the development themes, and right here we would have, in front of this, we'll have all of the schools and courses that are eligible. You want to just look up the website when it's time, right after this session, to look up what courses you want to select. But these are the 6 development themes: access, inclusion, and opportunity, promoting innovation and entrepreneurship, science and technology for development, strengthening global peace, security and governance, strengthening health systems and capacity, and then strengthening resilience and responses to crisis. The implication is that all of the courses that are already listed somehow align with these development themes, because you would make reference to them later as you write your essays, which are a core aspect of the application process. All right. So that being said, we're on how to apply. So you would, after selecting your course, you must also note that for this scholarship, you are free to select more than one course. You can apply to multiple universities and submit multiple applications, but the implication is for every other course you select, you are submitting fresh applications on the same portal, and you must complete all of them before the closing date. So a separate application goes for a separate course choice, a separate university choice. For every course you select, you submit a new application, and make sure you submit all of them by the closing date. When it opens, the closing date will also be announced, and you want to make sure you meet the deadline. So what documents will you need to apply? What documents will you need to apply? And it's also important to know these documents and prepare them ahead of time. All right? Because without these documents, your application might not be processed. So you want to be sure that you have the document that identifies you as a citizen of an eligible country. The page we saw earlier before now, lists eligible countries, of course, that are part of the Commonwealth. They are listed on the website. So you want to be sure you have your identifying document, which could be your valid passport or your national ID card. Of course, if you are in the scholarship application journey, it means that you have faith and hope that it will come through. And if it comes through, you have to travel. So if you don't have your passport, then something is still wrong somewhere. So you want to process that and have it in the bag because you will need it throughout to apply to the scholarship and to apply to your university. So then, very importantly, you would need the transcripts that shows the qualifications of your previous degree, probably your Bachelor of Arts or your Bachelor of Science. So you need your transcript. If you have not done that, you need to begin to apply. I understand that the process can be difficult in some universities. So the earlier you begin to do that, the better, to ensure you have your transcript that shows all of your academic records from a previous study. It's important that for every study you list, because when we get to the sections of filling the form, you discover that you have to fill in all the degrees you already have. So for everyone you list, you must provide their transcript. So it's clearly written that applications will be considered ineligible if the required documents are not included by the closing date. There are some other documents that may not be listed here yet, such as the reference and all of that, but we'll get to them shortly. All right, so there's a couple of advice for applicants that's already available on the website, which we may not go into. To choose your universities, you must also make reference back to the list of approved courses, which is already displayed on the website. Then who can apply? The persons that are eligible to apply, as I mentioned earlier, are citizens of a Commonwealth country or those who've been granted refugee status. Then you have to be permanently resident in an eligible Commonwealth country. I don't know what the statistics are here. Peter, do you have any idea the countries that people are from on this call now?
Oh, no, sir. No.
Okay. It's all right. So you would be permanently resident in an eligible Commonwealth country, and then you are available to start your studies by September of next year, because most of the eligible courses would have their start date between September, October, just around this time next year. And then you would have to research all of the courses you have chosen, because each course have their pages on their university websites where they list their entry requirements. What do you need to have for them to be able to admit you? Because it doesn't end with applying for the scholarship. You want to ensure that you can get an offer from the university, and to do that, you would apply separately to the university. While you are doing that, you need to understand the conditions. What class of degree do they accept to admit you? What do you need to write? Personal statement. Do you need to attend an interview so that you are well prepared? They also need your transcripts for that. All right. All of the other conditions are there for us to also look at. I just hinted on some of the most important ones, even though all of them are equally important. Then I've talked about eligible countries. They are listed on the website. So you want to be sure your country is there. And then completing the application form. I think that we'll come to this again in details, but just to highlight it in this quick session, that on the application form, you'll be required to fill in your biodata, name, country of origin, all of those preliminary things. Then you're expected to list all undergraduate and postgraduate university qualifications you have already obtained. So this has to do with the previous university you attended. Like I mentioned earlier, for every university you mentioned here, you must provide their transcript, and it's also important to have their certificates. Okay. The form requires you to list up to 10 publications and prizes you may have won. It's okay if you're applying for the first time and you do not have these. You shouldn't be intimidated, but you should now strive to also make a case for yourself in terms of your ability, your research plans, your career plans, your development plans, and all of those. So don't be intimidated if you do not have publications, but that is on the list means that it's something you can be able to start to work towards if you have not started to do that. But it's okay if you do not have. But if you do list them, and you have a space to do that for up to 10. You're also required on the form to provide details of your employment history, where you've worked, and there's a space to provide a short note of probably the responsibilities you did, and you want to highlight very briefly your key roles and achievements. And my opinion is that it does not matter where it was, as long as you were doing any sort of work and you're making any sort of impact, it qualifies. So don't be tempted to weigh where you work. Don't be tempted to say, oh, this is not some great job. Rather focus on what was it you were doing in that role that makes you a unique person. It can be very little things, but they can show forth some very significant leadership qualities that can stand you out. Then you're expected to provide the names and positions of 3 referees who are qualified to make some comments about you. There could be probably professors who have taught you before, your former lecturers, or professional referees, people you've worked with, and all of that. Although this comes at a later stage in the application process, it's important to begin to think about them from now so you can give your referees enough time to reflect on your personality, and so you don't rush them when the deadline is close. I understand that getting a referee or getting references written for some persons in some parts of the world can also be a little bit of challenge. So it's important to think through them and begin to identify who will do this, so you can get their recent email and fill that in and keep a constant reminder to ensure that that is done. Now, the next part of the forms is that you are required to write essays in 4 parts. I'll just brush through this because we'll now dedicate a session to talking about the essays. All right. So the development impact essays come in 4 parts, but you must prepare your mind that anything that looks like an essay for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, I think the number up to about 11. That's including career plans, personal statement, and all of those. So you have 11 short essays to write. Short because the biggest of them will be just around 500 words. There are some that are 100, some are 250, some are 200. Hamza is raising his hand. Do you want to put in a quick question?
Thank you for joining us. I'm sorry, I don't know if it is from my end. There is no icon for commenting or posting something here. I don't know if it is from my end.
I just noticed that. I'm trying to work on it. Sorry, sir.
Okay, so let's hope Peter is able to fix that. Meanwhile, I hope I can continue, right?
Please go ahead.
All right. So the text we see behind under this section just shows all of the essays we may have to write. Like I mentioned, the number up to 11, but the first 4 are the development impact essays: number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. The other ones are around your career plans, studying, personal statement, voluntary experience, and all of those. In a short while, we'll just discuss these essays in more detail. So this is just like an overview. Then the selection process. These are the 3 core criteria for assessment that's available on the website. So one, they are looking at academic merit, they are looking at quality of research proposal, and they are looking at potential impact on the development of the candidate's home country. All right. So you want to think through this. So as you are preparing your applications and your essays, you want to demonstrate how you stand out in these 3 core areas: academic merit, the quality of your research proposal, and potential impact. Some of us finish school and then realize we could have done better to have a better academic merit in that sense of the word. But it's okay if you've passed that stage. Do not regret. You can now invest more with what you have into the quality of your research proposal and into putting a very strong development plan that looks like it really can have some very great impact in your country. Right. Then we talked about the duration of the program is for full-time study, which will be 1 year. And all other things such as the benefits of the scholarship are also provided here. It is worth applying for. It is worth the mental, I don't want to call it stress, mental engagement, because because apart from applying to win, my observation is that if you apply, you begin to have a clearer sense of your own career direction in a way you never thought about it before. So it is very, very rewarding. Whether you win at the time or you don't win at the time, it's just a win-win situation because it either gets you into studying on the scholarship or it gets you having a clearer picture of what you want to do with your career. So, but just to mention a few, the scholarship takes care of your entire tuition fee, which is shared between the UK government and your host university. And at a later stage, you understand how what contributions come from both sides. But that is why it is called Commonwealth Shared Scholarships, which differentiates it from the other name, Commonwealth Masters. I'm not so knowledgeable about that. But this is shared because the benefits you get are undertaken by both the university you're applying to and the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission, the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office. All right. So your tuition is paid for, then an approved airfare from your country to the UK, and at the end of your studies back home is also covered. Then you get monthly stipend to cater for your living allowance. The rates for the last time is there, and it all depends on when you get yours. Then on arrival, you get some warm clothing allowance. You get some grants towards the writing of your thesis, what some of us know as a project. Then there are some study grants in case of probably some research and conferences, those kind of things. Then as part of visa application process, you would have to take a compulsory tuberculosis test. In my case, we had to pay for that, but on arrival, you get a refund. Then there's a clause for those who have children, probably a widowed person, divorced, or single parent, that you can just read that up. So that's like an overview of the scholarship. All right, so welcome back. In this second part of our discussion, we'll be looking at the essays. And like I mentioned earlier, you will have to write development essays in 4 parts. I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes, we can.
All right. So while there are everything essay like, there are about 11 to 12 of them. There are 4 key ones that begins. I have the questions here. So the first development impact essay is to discuss how your proposed study relates to A, development causes at the global, national, and local level, and then B, development issues connected to your chosen CSC theme and the wider sector. You have 200 words to answer this first question. It's important that you note that word counts are very important. It means that all of your sentences, every word must make sense to your application. You don't give room for repetition that does not really head you anyway. So you want to go straight to the point and give concrete analysis of your responses with possible examples and all of those. So in approaching this question, you want to think of key things to note. We talked about 6 CSC development themes earlier. Every course you are choosing is aligned with one of them. And then on a broader base, we have those 17 key sustainable development goals, which you would also select which development goal your course of choice aligns with. So in this first essay, you are thinking about what development issue are you looking at? What problems have you identified? It could be even in your local space that fits into broader discussions of global development, national development, and back to your place, local development. Then, what are these issues? What do you want to do about them? All right. So you want to now begin. For example, I wrote my response to this question in 3 paragraphs. And in those 3 paragraphs, I exhausted my 200 words, and I began by identifying how the issue I was talking about waste management in my own example, how waste management is a global issue. I gave some statistics that shows the impact, the negative impact of poor waste management around the world. Then in my second paragraph, I brought it down to a national context where I talked about my Nigerian background. And in my final paragraph, I further narrowed it down to my local community where I lived at the time. And then I now tied it to the development goal of climate action, sustainable communities, good health and well-being. I identified how this single issue connects with these 3 key sustainable development issues of climate action, sustainable communities, good health, and well-being. I also aligned it with the CSC development theme of access, inclusion, and opportunities. And that was it. So key things to note in this part 1 is a development issue in your local community. How does that issue, how is it on a global perspective? What is the impact at a national level? And then what is its impact at your local level? Then how does this align? How does it fit in the discussion around global development, national development, sustainable development, and the CSC's development themes? It could be just one of them. It could be more because some of the development issues crisscross each other. So that's it for the first essay. All of this you have 200 words. All of this you have 200 words. The second question says, how do you intend to apply your new skills and qualification when you return home? I hope this also answers some of the questions Clifford was raising. So you have 100 words to describe. So the issue you have identified in the first essay, you now want to tell us how, when you are given this opportunity to study in the UK, the skills you are going to learn from that study, how will you apply them when you come home? Definitely towards solving the problems you have identified. So all of the essays have these links in between them. So in 100 words, you're just going to explain that. And in my case, I wrote my response to this question in just one short paragraph. And there I highlighted the skills that I will gain from the course I'll be studying. And I brought out the aspects of my course that can empower me with the skills to be able to contribute to solving the issues I identified in my first essay. In doing that, I made reference to some of the modules I will be learning in my course. I made reference to some of the authorities around the UK. The one I mentioned was not even directly in my university, but someone I knew who was already doing something along the line. I was writing my application, and I made reference to how I could learn from that model to recreate something like that could work back home. I identified some of the modules I'll be doing on my course that are relevant to the skills I need to make the change I said I will make. And that was just it about essay number 2. That essay just has 100 words. Then in essay number 3, we are required to now discuss what you expect will change in development terms following your studies. That is, A, the outcomes that you aim to achieve, B, the time frame for their implementation, and C, who the beneficiaries will be, who will benefit. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, you can still see my screen, right?
Yes,
Alright.
yes, brilliant.
Okay, so we're on question number 3, and the question is just right there. So what are the outcomes you aim to achieve? we're coming from somewhere, you identified a problem, you have now told them what skills you will learn from your course that you propose to study and how that can empower you to make that change or contribute to making that change. So, so what are the outcomes you now aim to achieve? How long will it take for this to begin to manifest? And then who will benefit from this? So in my response, for this, we have 250 words. 250 words. To do this, I was able to restate the aim, what I intend to contribute. I said by establishing what aim I want to meet at the end of my study. So I stated the aim briefly, all right, and then what I intend to do with the new knowledge I would have. That was what was in my first paragraph. Then in the next paragraph, I delved into how long it would take. I gave a development plan that spanned 3 years. I had a 3-year time frame beginning from when I'll complete my studies. And then I had an outline of the things I aim to implement that, if followed step by step, would result in the change I seek to make. All right. So I gave that in just 3 key bullet points. And that was my response to that question. So I was able to identify the key aim I wanted to achieve. I was able to identify how long on the immediate it would take for these changes to begin to be seen. And in doing that, I broke down every step I wanted to take into small, achievable steps. All right. And then, because of the nature of problem I was talking about, it was clear to identify who the beneficiaries will be. So you want to also briefly highlight who will benefit from this change you are going to make. That is not, that will just be the direct opposite of the people you identified to be suffering the impact of the problem you identified earlier. So you see a connect between all of the essays as you go along. So the fourth development impact essay says, how will the impact of your work be measured? You just have 100 words to demonstrate. So when you begin to do this work, how do we know? How do we measure it? What results will we see to know that what you are doing is working? That's what you're going to do in just 100 words. And I wrote my response in 2 paragraphs. I went straight to the point by saying how the impact of my work will be measured. And this now depends on the kind of issue you are discussing. So if you are planning to do some work that, I don't know what perfect example to give you right now, but if you're proposing to do some work, let me just use my own key simple example. I was talking about waste management, and I envisage that when I implement my plans, some changes that will come will be observable. For example, an enhanced sense of waste management, in how that in the area of my work, you could observe, based on simple surveys and on-site evaluations, how the issues of improper waste disposal, which I tend to address, how you would notice the change in terms of this was what people did before, but based on my work, this is what has changed, and this is what people do now. So I set key indicators. For every aim, there's an indicator. For every aim, there's an indicator. All right. And then I included other broader aspects of how I could share the knowledge with people in my immediate community and also with people in other parts of the world, such as paper presentations, including publications, including conferences and all of that. So you just want to basically demonstrate what indicators will show that the strategy you have put in place is working. How do we know you are achieving the results you want to achieve? Just in 100 short words. And that's the essay. So this ends the development impact essays, but there are other essays that follow, which is the number 5. Can we see my number 5 now?
Yes, you can.
All right. So the 5th question says you should provide a short outline of your proposed study, and it should be written for an audience that does not have any prior knowledge of that subject. It should not be too technical. Any abbreviations or specialist terms must be explained, and you have 125 words. So here, they want to see you demonstrate a knowledge of the course you say you want to study, the department. You want to tell us about, you want to tell them rather about the course you have chosen, how it is a fit to address the problem you have identified, and what is it that is in the course that meets providing you with the skills you need to solve the problem you have identified. You don't want to go into much details here because it's going to be brief, because the next essay now says your proposed study in the UK. You're going to provide a study outline again where you're going to be dwelling more on that. So you have 125 words here that you must use judiciously. So in my case, I mentioned what my proposed study is. I described what the course is about. And in that description, I was already outlining how it can meet the development issue I have identified in the context of my own country. I restated what I want to gain out of the course and how that meets the problem I want to solve. And then I hinted a little on my research plan, the plan I have to implement that solution I will be proposing, and how that course is a fit for it. With that, before you know it, you would have run into 125 words. And it's okay most times to not be restricted by the word count. In your initial drafts, it's okay not to mind the word count and write from your mind all you feel based on your research. Also, this writing process comes from your reflective thinking, the research you are doing, and you must be mindful not to be copying things from anywhere on the internet. You know, in an age of AI, when you're competing against the rest of the world, you know how much your originality will count for you. It's okay to research, but it's also okay to personalize them and demonstrate how they align with your personal goals. So at the initial drafting stage, it's okay not to mind the word count and write over them so that you can have time to revisit what you have written and then narrow it down within the word count to make sure that you are leaving only what is relevant and will make your response to stand out. So that's it about the fifth essay. So in the sixth one, you're now going to provide a detailed plan of your proposed study. Now detailed. Remember the last one had 125 words. Here, there's almost more than twice that number. So you have 300 words to provide a detailed plan of your proposed study. So the panel wants to understand why you have selected that course and why you have selected that university. Why the course? Why the university? So here you are expanding on what attracted you to the course. Remember to keep it aligned with the problem you have identified and how the skills you will gain from that course can help you enhance your plan and develop a model for which you're going to contribute to making change using the skills you've learned on that course. In my case, I began again by mentioning my course, all right, and explaining my interest in the course. So I highlighted my interest and then I went on to explain further reasons I chose that course and reasons I chose that university. Some reasons I gave were centered around the focus of the course, the development focus and research of the course, the development focus and research of some members of staff on the course, which I had interacted with. By interaction, I don't mean being friends or talking. No, by interaction, I mean whose works I have read, who I had researched, who I knew what they were doing, what research they were doing, and where the focus was, and how much my own research plan aligned so much with their focus. So I identified what studying in that place, engaging closely with their research would benefit me in developing a model that can work for the development problem I have or development issue I have identified in my own local community. There again, I mentioned some of the modules, what some people call courses that you will study, the separate modules. Not all of them, but there are significant ones that actually from the onset and their description on the website, I knew that provide me some relevant skills that could help me develop the solution model I had to approach the issue I identified. So I explained why those modules and what they would mean to me. And then there are some optional modules, what some persons call electives, that may not be compulsory for you to take, but that you see aligns with your goals. So I identified an optional module that I knew that will make so much sense to the skills I want to gain, and say that since I have a choice to take that, I would take this because of this and this and this because of the skills I will gain from them. So at the end of that section, you are expected to now conceptualize the whole problem you want to solve into what looks like a proposed dissertation topic, which you will now put at the end of that section. So that was how I approached that particular question. And then the next one was that the selection panel will want to understand how your proposed study will assist you in your career. So you have to describe the skills that you expect to gain from the scholarship and your career plans once you return home afterwards. That is your objectives during the award. You have 250 words to do this. In this essay, they are looking out for, now you see that the responses to all of the essays are running into each other. It means that it does not give room for you to tell false stories, because if you are forcing it before you go to the last question, you would have contradicted yourself more than 10 times, and it gives you away a lot. So you want to keep your response focused. You want to keep it well researched and well written. So your objective during the award is asking simply, what skills will you now gain from this? Because you have identified the problem you want to solve. You have identified the place you want to study it. You have also identified why you want to study it. So when you eventually study it, what will you get out of that place that will be useful to the issue? What are your objectives during the award? Then beyond your specific course, the award in general, what are your objectives for the period of your study? That would somehow demonstrate your knowledge of the scholarship in itself, all the opportunities it provides you, including the course of your study and other opportunities outside the course of your study. So in my case, I made mention of the scholarship in itself and how it brings together, a cohort of researchers and alumni from various backgrounds, the opportunities it brings for me to collaborate, to network, to build skills in a team, and gain access to researchers from other disciplines, other research practice areas, and other parts of the world, which could somehow contribute to shaping the idea that I have. I also continued by mentioning how that the Commonwealth Scholarship has is driven by development objectives of international relevance. Then I went straight to also discuss my own major objectives from the program, which is to develop knowledge and skills that could aid me to address development issues in the community, especially with best practices, gained from one of the best places in the world to acquire that knowledge. Then I again explained what studying at my choice university meant to me, issues around their global reputation and the focus of their research and the skills it will help me with to develop professional practice in the area, the standard of that practice in my university, and how it positions me on the pedestal to do very well in it. Again, I mentioned other activities that the scholarship in itself provides, such as workshops, such as social events, such as seminars in my university, and when you mention these specific seminars, your assessor will probably have a sense of that you have researched these things, and then when you make it through, you know what exactly to go for, you know the skills you're looking for, you know where to find them, and you have a sense of direction to just go for them. All right. And all of them are buried in the network with other scholars with a large pool of interesting, diverse alumni across the world that you will now belong to. All right. I also mentioned again specific staff member in my university whose work has really inspired me, and how I would engage with the experience and what I hope to learn from interaction with them, closer interaction with them, especially learning under them. So that was my approach to that question. And in 300 words, yeah, I was done with that. So The seventh one, okay, that's the seventh one I've talked about now. So the eighth one now talks about your career plans. So the seventh one was objectives during the award. The eighth one is talking about your plans after the award. And I think it was specific in my time that career plans in the 5 years following your award. So they want to see you project what plans you have for the immediate 5 years after your awards. And we had 250 words in my case to do that, 250 words to talk about the career plans in the 5 years following the award. So in the process of writing, it's important to have a clear-cut career plan for yourself and have measurable things, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound things that you can achieve in the next 5 years. My approach was that I began by giving a broad insight into what I would do on my return after my award, what I aim to do, what research I aim to embark on, what practice I aim to institute. This actually remained tied to how I would contribute to solving the problem I identified earlier. It's okay if you are not, you cannot be the messiah alone. So contributing significantly is enough. You must not bite more than you can chew, which also would make your plans unrealistic. So you must list or mention things that you know are realistic and are doable. So I presented mine by focusing on the first 3 years, what I would do in the first 3 years, and I was able to break that down into very clear steps, giving up to 3 points of things I would do in the first year after, giving up to four major, no, three other measurable things I would do in the second year, and giving up to three other two measurable things I could do in the third year, and then how I could build on them in the fourth and the fifth year. That was my approach to covering the things I intend to achieve in the 5 years following the award. Now, subsequently, the next essay requires you again. So beyond 5 years, which is now described as in the long term. So what are your long-term career plans? Of course, it will now take you from the previous essay to now expand on your long term, your ambition, and how it builds from what you have itemized to do within 5 years, and then how it takes you to the bigger picture of where you see yourself in the long term. To do this again, we had 250 words. So, and my approach to this long term plan was that I began by saying what my ambition actually is, my broad ambition. This still remained connected to what I am studying, the problem I've identified, and where I want to be positioned in terms of people who are the voices that are contributing to making that change on the long run. So I started that way. Then I discussed that plan in more detail. Then I took cue from where I stopped in the fifth year, and I began to also itemize that following 6 years of my award, what I hope to do, which I perceived was doable. At this stage, I started to introduce established organizations who are already working closely in the line I want to work, and how I can partner with them. In writing this, I was particular about such organizations, including their names. Those were organizations I have researched and knew what they were doing and how it aligned with what I want to do. And then I also identified what they are not doing yet that I feel that my partnership or collaboration could introduce. So there definitely will be a new angle, because if somebody is doing what you said you want to do already, then what's the point of doing it? So what new knowledge comes in? So I was able to identify people or groups, organizations doing the things I want to do that I can partner with to enhance the impact of the work they are doing. And the result will be a contribution to solving the issues I had earlier identified. So from there, I made it a bigger picture, since it was a long term, a bigger picture of things I intend to achieve and what I intend to be, not for the glory and benefit of myself, but to be positioned to contribute to making change in the area of the development issue I had identified. All right. Then the next part, which I call the 10th essay, is now the personal statement. I can't remember exactly if this one was 500 words or 250 words, but personal statement now gives you a chance to talk about yourself, the achievements you've made, your background, anything inspiring that you feel could demonstrate how you are a fit for the scholarship or how you have shown a long time commitment to that development issue. There is no one straight jacket approach to writing a personal statement. That's my opinion. So, because people's stories are different and people's stories can come across differently. So, you want to reflect and bring out what you feel makes you stand out and then sell yourself in your personal statement. Remember to keep it structured. Remember to stay within the word count. But your unique story, okay? And for those who always seek to consult samples, I will always counsel that when you approach a question, task yourself to reflect on your own experiences and have your personal draft first. Have your personal draft first because if you look at other samples, it has a way of boxing your creativity. So you feel that, oh, this sample looks good. So you want to tailor your response to look like that sample while your story is different from that person's story. Your uniqueness could be in your own voice. So when you have your personal story, you may now probably consult a reviewer, or you want to look at your example of a perfect sample. I don't know if there's a perfect sample anywhere. So I think what happens is a unique sample. Then you are now editing what came originally from you, rather than modeling your response after another person's story, which may have been unique to that person. So that was about personal statement. Then after the personal statement, there's a final part where you are given a chance to talk about voluntary and leadership experience. Voluntary and leadership experience. These are it's an opportunity to now show what works you have done in the past, you know, what opportunities you've had to demonstrate leadership, what organizations you've worked in on a voluntary basis that contributed to impacting others, you know, and as many examples as you can bring on board, you can do that as long as you stay within the word count. Voluntary experiences and leadership experiences do not have to be big issues. They do not have to be big issues. There could be small issues that have significant impact, and that's all that counts. So you want to undertake a journey of self-reflection and itemize things you count as leadership activities or leadership qualities you've exhibited in any organization or times you've done voluntary work for any organization and reflect on what problem was it aimed at addressing, what impact did it have, who benefited from that particular intervention, and then you put that all in, and it could be a contribution to what makes you stand out or what makes you unique. So that brings us to the end of the 11 essays. Remember, the actual essays that they call development impact essays are the first four. The first four, then the others follow. I just numbered them to give you a sense of the number of writings you'll be doing. But just remember, they are short words, 250. The maximum could be 500, depending. So some of these things could change. It's important that when the application opens, you fill the basic part and get to see what actual essay questions are for you. They usually do not change. Over the years, they have not changed, or they may slightly change, but it's okay to know what's obtainable. But so far, these are questions you can have in mind and begin to draft your answers, because the earlier you begin that, the better. Just to reiterate that you need these important documents, your certificates and your transcripts, and if to add, your passport. Now, you should not wait till it's time to begin to prepare. And that is why I've shared some of these questions so you can begin to reflect. Just to remind you again, to be original and think of your own story. In your first draft, do not think about the word count, so that you can put all of the ideas you have in you down on your paper or on your computer. Then later on, you can sieve them to take the strongest ones by your assessment. Okay. And it's okay for you to, if it's safe to do so, you may want somebody to look at it for you if it's safe to do so. if it's not safe to do so, please don't give it out, because idea theft is a real thing too. But there are people who are willing to also help. But before that, you want to be sure you've done your own due diligence by going through what's expected and writing a strong essay. You are in a pool of competition against many persons, so some sort of mistakes should not happen, such as typographical errors, punctuation errors. All of those things can reduce the quality of your essay, because those are the, since you're not speaking them, those are the things that convey the breadth, the pauses, the connections in your story. So you want to ensure everything is tight. Then you are not rushing to submit, and you are not missing the deadline. So you are starting early to give yourself time to be able to accommodate all of these things. The writing process can get somewhat overwhelming, and that's why starting early is the key, so that you do a bit. Just imagine you are writing an essay of just 100 words, and you're taking 2 days to have a draft. It means you're having the time to write, reread, rewrite, reread, rewrite, till you have something very strong. But if you think, oh, it's 100 words, so it will not take time, then you begin to procrastinate. You discover that when you come to sit down at that rush hour, 100 words may take you days to produce. That will make sense. All right. So taking time to prepare is what makes all of the difference. So those were the essays so far, at least based on my experience. So I want to give some time again for people to raise concerns, questions, and all of that.
Okay, thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. I think you have given us what we all needed for this particular essay, to have an outstanding essay. I have this particular question. Is there any activities that the Commonwealth organize for her scholars upon arrival, or a frequent event that the Commonwealth scholars have been engaged in their respective universities, or that they used to come together in a particular city to maybe like such as leadership training or something like that? Is there any of this?
Okay, so thank you. The Commonwealth Scholarship has many activities, and some that I may not have even discovered myself, being that I am just months on the program, but I know we have a regional network. So different regions of the UK, depending on where your university fall into, we have regional networks that will be organizing regular events. So the focus of each event may be different depending on what the organizational team at every region would organize. All right. So there are many events to connect with other scholars. There are events to connect with even alumni. Recently, I attended a seminar that was hosted by an alumni, and that talked about a work she's currently doing, I think, in Kenya. So it was also an avenue to connect with people, probably in your discipline or in a related discipline. So there are usually events, seminars, social events, workshops, and so on, depending on what's organized per time, where you could network. And there's even a big one, Connect and Collaborate, that brings together all of these scholars across the UK, in a ceremony where you can also network with large network of scholars and alumni. So a lot of opportunities to network.
Okay, so thank you so much, Peter, for this insightful session. So can you hear me, please?
Yeah.
So I want to ask for the second to the last question, talking about the voluntary and leadership experience, what you've done for that level, and how leadership, how you exhibited some leadership potentials that leads to maybe more like the impact of the leadership potential. So I want to ask, just like, I don't know if you know, some of us here are familiar with the Shelving application process, and how to go about shelving essays. So one can also apply the STAR approach, right, to writing the voluntary and leadership experience, right? Would that be okay?
I recommend it's one of the strongest approaches to use, where you identify a situation, the task and the action you took and the results. It's one of the best approaches to use to make your contribution stand out. So yes.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, please go ahead, please. Olikalion. I don't know if I got that right.
Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation.
Thank you. How do you call the name?
Okay, Olika Lion.
Great. Please go ahead.
Okay, it's possible to get the slide.
Okay. Peter, is there a recording? Would the recording be uploaded somewhere?
Yes, there will be recording that.
So the recording will be uploaded, and then for the slides, I only shared my web page. All of the presentation I shared was from the web page of the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission. So you can just look at Commonwealth Shared Scholarship online, their website. Everything I shared with you is there, and even in more detail. Okay, maybe Mubarak can go. Mubarak?
Yeah. I would like to know if you have a WhatsApp platform, a group that we can join, so that we can keep interacting as we are working on our application.
Okay, currently I do not have a WhatsApp group, but the organizers of this session do. Peter does. So the session was organized by a group of prospective scholars, current applicants, and I think they have a WhatsApp, and I have been added to that WhatsApp. So I think we can also interact there, right, Peter? So you can get in touch with Peter to.
All right. I was struggling with my mic all along. So for the person that asked for the recording, please maybe just go to YouTube now. Just type Potential Scholars Forum, and then just follow us or subscribe. Then once we upload the video, you just get a notification for that. We'll definitely the video will be made available there for everyone. As regard the WhatsApp platform, maybe I'll talk to Hamza. I'll get back to you for this. Thank you.
So maybe you can give them an email to communicate you.
Perfect. You can just type it Potential Scholars Forum, just the name you're seeing, Potential Scholars Forum at gmail.com. Yeah, it's very, very simple. That's it.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, but if you want to stay connected with me, you see my name appear there, Peter Ogoy Salipo. That's how it appears on LinkedIn. So you can connect and we can also be in touch on LinkedIn. Who now? Adamu, if you could unmute.
Thank you very much for your time. I really enjoyed the session. My question is, how slim or are the likelihood of a second class upper degree to get in, or I can say be awarded this scholarship? You know, they always talk about academic strength or something like that. So if I'm like a 2-1 student having a 2-1 degree, second class offer, so what is the likelihood of me being selected by a university? Thank you.
There are many scholars today who have second class offer, so you don't even have a problem with that. Like I mentioned earlier, just check with the university you want to go to, check their entry requirement, and be sure what you have can admit you to their university, and that's all. You know, but a 2-1 degree is just good to go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
I see iPhone. You can go ahead, please. iPhone.
Sorry, Mr. Peter. What if somebody that has tutor?
Okay. Please, what's your name? Sorry. If it's okay to share.
Alima.
Okay. Alima. Okay. Yeah, I mentioned earlier that as regards grades, all you need to do is again check with the university you want to apply to, check their entry requirement, and be sure that your grade can be acceptable by them. They write what they expect. And I see that some universities even allow you to complement your grade with work experience, with relevant work experience and industry experience. Okay. your grade can be an advantage in the scholarship competition, because I saw on their website one of the things they rank is academic merit, but there are other things such as your the impact of your proposals and all of that. So soon as your grade can admit you to an eligible university, then you want to focus on the other aspects of the application, such as your development essays and how you present your experiences and all of that.
No problem, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right, Mr. Peter, good evening. So, you said within the webinar that that one is meant to sign a undertaking that after the program that they will return to their home country. However, what if a situation develops whereby within or just immediately after the program you get a job and you're settled? Can you renew your visa and continue, or must you honor that return agreements? Thank you.
Okay, like I said earlier, I don't work for CSC, but I can share my knowledge and experience with you. So if you get that job and you settle, who goes home to implement the beautiful development plan you wrote before you were awarded the essay? Who makes that change now? Are you there?
Yeah, I am there.
Who makes that change now? So if you are looking,
No,
if you are looking to jackpot, the Commonwealth scholarship is not a jackpot scheme. It's a scheme for people who are passionate about their country and are looking forward to study in a developed country to gain skills that they can apply back in their home country. That's the much I know. So, but if there are any conditions or exceptions that you will stay behind, I am not in the position to say that, because the aim of the scholarship is for you to contribute to the development cause of your home country.
All right. Thank you so much.
Scholar, I have a question. Regarding the question one, the development impact question one. We have actually watched, personally, I've actually watched a lot of videos online, and then they talk about how to use statistics and number, and also to put from trading source. My challenge is that we have just 200 words. How can we do all that in just 200?
That is the first essay, right?
Yes, sir.
And the use of statistics and numbers.
And even citing some relevant source like World Bank and all that.
Yes, you can do that, but as you do so, you must still remain within the word count. You are not. You are free to cite, but it's not like when you cite, you will now provide bibliography. No, you are not providing bibliography, but you can cite the normal academic style. You can do that, but not like you are providing some bibliography that will now take up your word count. So you integrate it as much as possible, a sort of paraphrasing reports, figures, and all of those, and integrate them into your essays in very smart ways. And in my response to the development impact number one, I have up to four citations. All right. I included up to 4 citations, some from academic articles, some from global development agencies that are concerned with the work I was talking about. So you can attribute the findings of the figures you are talking about to them. So it gives it that credibility without necessarily copying and quoting that will take up your word count. All right. For example, let me give you a very practical example. If I say, according to the World Health Organization, 50 million children are out of school. That's a hypothetical example. According to the World Health Organization, 50 million children are out of school. Look at the number of words I've used. But if I say 50 million children are out of school, and now put WHO 2019, I think I've made the same point. So I am attributing the figures to them without necessarily copying the quote. So I internalize the knowledge But for every figures I'm giving that has been proven by an established body, I attribute it to them by honoring the source in the normal quotation way without necessarily wasting the words. So more of an improved skill in paraphrasing where you can name the figures and still cite without losing word count.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was so precise. We are 4 minutes ahead of our time. Please, if you have question, I guess he'll still give us enough time to ask. Please ask your question now, okay? Ask your question. But and then if you have question after now, please go to your LinkedIn, type Peter Ogohi Salifu. Just connect with him, and then you can send in your question. He will be more than willing to provide you with further guidance. Lastly, I don't know. Let me ask this. Although it's not particularly to me, but most people has asked me that okay, I've gone through the website and all the courses there are not even related to what I did on my in my undergraduate level. So can I switch? Imagine I'm coming from a pure art. I want to do something related to environment, climate change, or can I even switch to health? Is it possible, sir? Is it possible?
Thank you for that question. Just before I answer that, somebody was saying earlier that there are no arts courses. Me, I'm in the pure arts, but probably I got my course anyway. But the thing about disciplines is, for me, I think we're even in an age of interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary studies. So your development should be focused on what do you already have from your background and how does it find a place in what you want to do. Emphasis is on the ability for the program you want to study to admit you. Again, I've said it before. So all you need to do is, I love this course, but I have this background. Jump to the university's page for that department and see entry requirements. They will usually tell you this course is fitting for people with background in this, in this, in this, in this, and this, and that. Some will now add, if you don't have this background and you have significant work experience in this, in this, in this, in this, and that, we can consider you. So they want to be sure that you are able to succeed on that course, having a prior academic background or work background. It's true that some disciplines may not be able to cross to some other disciplines, but that depends on the decision of that particular institution, that particular department. And that information is always available on their website. Like, what are the entry requirements? They will tell you what grade they take. They will tell you if there's any bachelor's degree background they want. They will tell you if there's an equivalent. If you don't have the bachelor's degree or grade, if there's an equivalent work experience, they can consider in place. Of course, there are ways they put in place that you will demonstrate your knowledge based on that industry experience. So the answer lies with the respective departmental web pages in terms of entry requirements.
Thank you.
Okay. My second question.
Great.
Okay. For the application, when you are picked, like does the scholarship covers your fee? Because I didn't start this session. I joined after the started. Does it cover your fee from here to destination, or there are some things that you use your money to do by yourself, maybe before you get funded, like you said earlier?
So thank you. I covered that part before you joined. Yes, it covers for your tuition fee. It covers for your airfare from the selected airport from your country to the UK, and sometimes also covers for your movement from the UK airport to your university. One of the things I know you might have to use your money to do during visa application is to do the mandatory medical test required for your visa to be completed. If not, your visa application fee is also covered by the scholarship. And even that medical check that you pay with your money is refunded when you arrive in the UK. So virtually everything is covered.
Yes, thank you very much, Scholar, for this opportunity. Thank you for sacrificing your time. Over there, time is money. You understand? Okay, EJ. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for receiving the resources, because getting the internet and everything is actually very, we are very happy for that, and we really appreciate you, Sam. Thank you so much, and we'll be talking more in the group. So for others, I don't know if possible, wherever you access this link from, start the person up, okay? I know definitely the past scholars have a CSE group where it's open for a lot of persons to join. So maybe the link will be forwarded to you, so you can at least be among community of people of like-minded. And for with that, you can be able to get most of your questions, answers. So for this particular video, like I said, to be posted online. So guys, thank you very much for attending, and I pray by March we'll be hearing good news for all of us. Thank you so much, scholar. We really appreciate you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just unmute and saying thank you while you exist. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. Honestly, it's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Scholar Peter.
Thank
We
you
appreciate.
So much.
Yeah,
You've done very well. God bless you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for this. We look forward to having you again. And we look forward to meeting you in the UK by September
By God's grace.
2025.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Hamzat. Oh, Hamzat, thank you very much. Yeah, Hamzat is a cool. Please, Hamzat is a cool founder of this admin group. Please, it's not always about Peter. So, Hamzat, thank you very much for being very supportive. He's very supportive. If you have any questions, ask Hamzat. Hamzat will provide for you. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.
All right. Thank you.